Hey guys, Carl from Purple Misplaced. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Mind Sapce, a reimagining or reworking of the Japanese game Yojohan Peipa Saike from designer Nao Shimamura and now from publisher Allplay games. This is a sort of polyomino-based roll and write style game in which every turn you're rolling a variety of different colored dice which then get associated with different shapes, and then you need to fit those different colored shapes onto your player board, scoring points based on their placement in the board and also on different scoring conditions that each of the different colors have. This game is one that I was really excited to try out because Nao Shimamura is a designer I've been following for quite a while through their work many years ago with now defunct Japanese publisher Taiki Kenai Games, whose games I've really enjoyed over the years. So I was very excited to see their name on a game coming out now for the English language audience. No disclaimer needed on this one because I did pick this one up on my own. Let's head down to the table to see how the solo mode plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Mind Sapce, begin first by taking a player board, selecting which side of the board to play, either the standard A side or the more complicated B side. For this playthrough, I will just be using the A side, as well as a scorecard. And the scorecard is the way that we're going to be keeping track of score, but also on the back will be an explanation of all of the different scoring in the game, and I'll use that in a minute to explain how everything works. And then also taking one shape reference card. This side shows all of the different shapes that do exist in the game, and then on the back sort of does a brief walkthrough of all of the different rules of the game, but I will show that to you in just a minute. Next, we're going to take the pursuit cards, give those a good shuffle, placing out one pursuit card face down off to the side, 5 pursuit cards face up next to that. And then finally, the deck of cards, remaining cards, over here like that. Give me just a second to straighten this out a little bit. And then finally, we're going to choose the 3 goals for the game. So there are 3 different stacks of goal cards, A, B, and C. And from each of those stacks, I'm going to give those a shuffle and select one of those at random. And I'll explain what they are in just a second when I get into play. But let me continue drawing those next, taking the stack of B goals, giving those a good shuffle, and placing out one of those. And again, when placing these out, you will be placing them out with the higher point value side facing up. And then finally, same thing for the C deck, placing out one of those cards as well. Then to continue setting up, we do need to place out the 5 dice. Pink, orange, purple, blue, and green, as well as markers in each of those colors and black as well. And then finally, specifically for the solo game, I will place out on screen the solo rules card, which does explain the solo mode right there on the card. And with that, we are all set up for our play. So Mind Sapce is going to play out over a series of 12 rounds, each round adding generally one of these shapes as shown on the table to our player board each turn. And the way that's going to work is at the start of every round, I'm going to take these 5 dice, rolling them, and then we're going to place them out on the cards based on the numbers showing, so being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So in this case, these 2s go here, this 5 goes here, and these 2 6s go here. And then I'm going to choose one of those 5 available colored shapes to place onto my board. So in this case, I could draw this shape in pink or blue, this shape in purple, or this shape in orange or green. It's also worth mentioning that this shape is a sort of generic shape, so I can always draw this shape in any of the colors, but the colors that are placed on that can only be drawn in that shape normally. And when placing shapes on the board, after the first placement can be anywhere. After the first placement, each shape must be placed orthogonally adjacent to a shape that's already been drawn on the board, and it can never be orthogonally adjacent to another shape of the same color. It's also okay for the shapes to cross over these thicker lines. These thicker lines are simply going to be scoring based on these different sections of the board. But nothing can ever overlap these gray matter spaces in your board. And you're going to be doing that for a variety of different reasons. The 3 gold cards up here, as well as sort of each of the individual colors scoring. So let me walk you through all of those different things. The 3 goals that we're going to be playing with this game are Stressed Out, which says I need to fill the 4 corners of the board, which means here, 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 and here. Serenity, which says I need to fill any 2 sections without using green. And then Adventure, which says I need to fill in the top left and bottom right sections. So all of these this time are about filling in sections. And if I can fill in the top left and bottom right sections without using green, that would cover both of those. And that also covers 2 of my corners. So we may be able to work those things together, but also top left, bottom right, and all 4 corners means I need to stretch, and I could probably start in a corner as well. So I will be aiming for larger shapes simply to fill out the space as much as possible. Because as you can see on this card, there are some shapes that are only 4 squares and then a bunch of shapes that are 5 squares. So I'd like to be using more of the 5 squares and staying away from these 2 square pieces as much as possible. And those goals are going to be scoring 13, 11, and 9 points until the solo mode flips those cards over one by one. And when they're flipped over, they're only going to be worth 7, 6, and 5 as shown by the smaller value. Or as you can see on the other side, it is only printed that value. In addition to the goal card scoring, we will also be scoring based on what you see here on the scoreboard. And all of this is described on the back here, but rather than just read it to you, because especially it's very small text, I will just explain everything based on what it shows here. So this first top score is going to be scoring based on completed sections on the board. Each of the 4 outside sections will score 10 points if completely filled in, and the center will score 5 points if completely scored in, or filled in. The next hole here is going to be scoring A, B, and C. That's your A, B, and C goal cards on the table. Purple will be scoring 2 points for every purple square that is adjacent to an orange. So I'm going to look at every purple score on my board, and for each of those purple squares that has at least 1 orange adjacent to it, I will be scoring 2 points. If there are multiple oranges, that doesn't change anything. It simply needs to be adjacent to at least 1 orange to score 2 points. Orange, every time I build an orange shape or draw an orange shape, I'm going to fill in the leftmost unfilled square. And at the end of the game, I will score points equal to the leftmost unfilled square at the end. So if I filled in these first 3 spaces, I would score 10 points at the end of the game. The pink one is going to be a little bit confusing, and you'll see how that works as we play. But at the end of the game, I'm going to look at all of the pink shapes on my board, and any shape that matches the same shape as a pink shape, I'm going to count the number of squares in that shape, and I will score that number of points. So if I have a 4 square pink shape that matches another 4 square different colored shape, I would score 4 points for that shape. The blue one works similarly to the orange, except it's not counting the number of blue shapes. Instead, every time I fill in at least 1 blue square in any of the 5 different areas, I will fill in one of these. And these are going to be negative points unless I fill them in. Next, at the end of the game, I'm going to look at all of the different areas on my board, and whichever of the 5 areas has the most unfilled spaces, I'm going to count that number of unfilled spaces, and that will become negative points at the end of the game. And finally, green doesn't score anything, but every time I fill in a green shape, and any time I fill in any of the 5 areas on my board, I'm going to fill in one of these coins. And each of these coins can be spent once to do something as printed here. I can always spend 1 coin to fill in 1 square on my board, black. The black doesn't score anything, but it will work towards those scoring goal cards, and it will also work towards filling in spaces so I don't lose points at the end. I could alternatively spend 2 coins at the same time to use any of the colored dice for any of the shapes that are currently shown. So if I wanted to use a pink this shape, I could spend 2 coins to make that happen. I still can't use a die more than once. I'm not adding an additional shape on my turn. I'm simply allowing myself to use a color and a shape that are not currently paired together on the board. And then finally, the last use of coins is I can spend 3 coins to build 1 additional shape or draw 1 additional shape as shown here. So for example, if I did a pink plus shape, I could spend 3 coins to then also take a purple shape like this. It doesn't allow me to change anything or mix anything. It simply allows me to draw 2 of what's available to me in that round. So hopefully that all makes sense. And if not, it will start to make more sense as I get into gameplay. But let's start with the first round as shown right now on screen. Before I do that, let me explain how the solo mode works. The solo mode is simply going to be flipping over those bonus cards so they're worth less points to me. After round 5, I'm going to roll a die, and based on the die roll, I'm going to flip over one of the cards. So 1 or 2 gets me an A, 3 or 4 flips B, and 5 or 6 flips C. Then after turn 8, I'm going to roll a die again. If it's even, I'll flip the lowest value remaining card, and if it's odd, I'll flip the highest valued remaining card. And then finally, after turn 11, I will flip the 3rd card. And that's basically all that's changing in the solo mode. So again, focusing on, I want big shapes. I want to connect all 4 corners, or get to all 4 corners, and I want to fill 2 sections, particularly top left and bottom right sections. So I want to start in one of those corners if possible, or near a corner if possible. And looking at the shapes I'm given, that's not great, but it's not horrible either. Because I wouldn't mind also exploring into or exploding into other locations. So I think I'm going to start with the blue 4, remembering blue scores me for multiple locations. And I'm going to put that blue right here like this. So filling in like this. That blue is now in the top left section as well as the center section, which means I'm placing in 2 new locations in blue, so I get to fill in 2 of those spaces. And I'm also going to be keeping track of rounds up here because I need to remember when to roll the dice. So with that, we clear the dice, and at the end of every round, the rightmost card flips over, these all slide down, and we fill in 1 more card, rolling the dice again. And I mentioned 12 rounds. There will be exactly 12 shifts of those cards before these run out, so it will sort of automatically fix itself. All right, so we've got this green, this pink or blue, and this orange or purple. Again, I want to stay away from the 2s. A pink, this is not going to be great for me because then I need to have other things that are that same shape, and this is just about to go away, so that's not going to happen. Also, I can't really take this blue because it needs to be adjacent to another shape, and the only shape I have is blue, and 2 colors of the same can never be touching. So that's not going to work, so that's useless to me. I could take that, but it's not going to score anything, although it will fill in stuff nicely, because I could fit it right in there very well. But then that card's gone, and pink is not scoring me anything. Green also doesn't score me anything, but if I place it out somewhere like there, it's going to help me extend from one section to another. It does fill in a lot of spaces, and it will get me another coin that lets me manipulate things later. So let's take that green right there. And I'm going to fill in like this. And then marking off this second round, and remembering then that green can't finish a section for this card. So I don't want green here or here. But that middle section, it looks like it's going to be a oh well kind of situation. So those go away. Sorry, one more thing. For doing that green, I should fill in the next coin. So now I have 2 coins available to me. This flips over. Those all slide down like that. And we re-roll. 3, 5, 5, 6, 3 like that. Again, a pink 5 is really annoying because I'll never be able to build that shape again, so pink isn't scoring for that. An orange 5, though, is not bad because that's a long straight, and I could potentially score lots of purple points if I lined up something next to it. And what else? We got blue here. Blue T shape could be good, and if I rolled a pink T later, that would be 2 Ts, and a pink T would score on both of those. That's 10 points. Not bad. Purple T doesn't really do much for me right now, but could in the future. So I want this blue T or orange big L. And I think I'm going to take the blue T. And this is where it gets interesting, because I could put the blue T here like that, filling in 2, which is getting closer to this section, but less spaces in this section, but it does get rid of 2 more blue zones. Yeah, let's do that. So blue goes here, like that, which does fill in 2 more blue zones. And that was round 3. All right, so clearing for the next round. Flip that, slide these. Round 4. Again, if I can get a pink T, that would be wonderful. All right, 3, 2, 4, 4, and 5 like that. Now, that pink C is not a bad idea, because there's a lot of time before it goes away, so I could get more of those. But this green, but I don't want green. That's a shame, because that green fits perfectly in that corner. The orange T I don't really need, although it could go there. Yeah, I think I'm going to take the orange T, because I need to start filling in some orange. So that orange gets filled in, and I'm going to put that in this, yeah, okay, filling in this hole, like that. Now, I might not be playing so very well right now, because I've got 3 goals that I'm working on, but I'm not really rushing to finish any of them right now. So I need to hit those corners. Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, then resetting for the next round. This is the 5th round. We will be flipping one of these afterwards. Hopefully the lower point valued one, but we'll see. Rolling again. 5, 5, 4, 3, and 1. And here's that pink T that I wanted before. I definitely still want to do that. But where is a good place to put it? I could put it like that. In any case, I definitely want it because it's going to score me a lot of points if I can put it out. I don't want to block off any stuff that I can't fill in later with stuff, which is my problem right now. Yeah, hold on. T is not great, because I'm going to block off holes. That gets covered. Huh. Yeah, if I put a T there, that leaves me with 3 in the corner, which I can't fill in. So I don't want to block off that for sure. It's got to be over here somewhere, but I don't want to block off that single hole. But I could always use a coin to fill it in. So it's not the end of the world, definitely. Yeah, all right, it's not ideal, but I'm going to do it. So we're going to color in here as pink. Like that. And that is the 5th round, so I am going to roll a die and flip something. I rolled a 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, means that B flips. So now if I score it, it will still only be 6 points, but I still can score it. So clearing for round 6. That goes away. So we're not scoring any more points off of that, but that is 10 points already, so yay. That flips over and we roll like that. Wow, that's a lot of 6s. That's not fun. 3, 3. Well, this is where I might use my coins now, because then I can pick anything, any color. But then I can't fill in that hole. I'd love to do that. It gets me 2 holes, but I can color those in. Yeah, let's do that. Do I? Yeah, that pink made things ugly. Huh. This 2 pink or 2 green doesn't look very good. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use some coins. So I'll use 2 coins. I don't like it, but I'm gonna do it. To place out an orange that in the bottom corner. Again, it leaves me with these 2 ugly holes, but I can fill those in later. And that does get me the next orange like that, which is good. That's round 6. Those go out. That goes away. That flips and we roll again. 2, 6, 5, 5, 5. I think this purple is the answer. I'm going to put that purple C up here. And the problem is it's filling, it's giving me another, nope, not there, sorry. Over here. Because remember, we're scoring based on purple squares that touch orange. And that gets me 3 of them now. I can put a 2 something in there later. Like that. That's 7 rounds. Clearing again. That flips. These slide down. I'm not getting very close to these filling in things though, which is not good. I'm doing real bad with my goals this game. 5, 4, 4, 4, and 5. All right. So I can always use something there. Because these 2 shapes are not great. I'd love that shape in here. Yeah, these shapes are not good. I mean, I can always put something down here, but that's not working towards anything I need it to. I can hit a corner, but so what? I'm going to take a green too. Ah, no, because that screws up that. But nothing else works in that corner except green. And I don't think I can fill in anything else. This is not going to fill in. Yeah, I mean, I can put a pink there. And then score off of 2s later, potentially. I can't put purple there. I can't put orange there. I could put a blue there, but I've already scored blue for that section. Green gets me a coin and fills in holes, which works towards that and that, but potentially kills that. Huh. I could put a green somewhere just to put a green. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to put this green here. So I get a coin. Like that, which does get me a coin. I think I'm going to spend that coin, but wait a minute. I want to start filling in those holes. I just realized that's a big problem. I didn't even think about it. No, I can't do that. because I can't block that off. No way. I don't want green down there. No way. All right, then it's no good, but I'm going to put just a pink 2 in that top corner to take the corner. Like that. Which is 8. Which is sad, because I'm not doing very good. We're going to roll again, which is a 2. Lowest value flips, which is that one. So I can still aim for the corners to get 13 points in the next 3 rounds or so. Resetting. That flips. Those slide down. Ooh, I like that shape. 1, 1, no, 1, 3, 3, and 6. Well, I could use the green to fill that in, but that screws that. Same thing over here. Ah, but blue over there is good because I don't have a blue in this corner yet. I'm doing that. Blue 5 straight is this right here. Like that. Which fills in my last blue. That's round 9. I need something to fill in the center to get me a green coin to start filling in those holes. And or placing green. All right. Those go over there. This flips. These slide down. Like that. Round 10, 2, 4, 4, 6, 6. Yuck, this is horrible because I can't put a blue there, which is what I need. Purple and green can't go there to finish that center hole. Pink and orange can be placed, but so what? Yeah, that's a bad round. All right, I'm taking this green just to get my coin. And anywhere I put it stinks. Could still place that. So I'm going to put this here. Yeah? No. Because I need to work to get those corners done. Quick. Because this is round 10. And I don't think, if I get a 5 there, I could. All right, so let's put the green here. It's sad because it kills that top space, but that's fine. Green goes in there. Which does get me a coin. Yes, that's that. Clearing. Round 11. That was my last round to get the full stressed out. I hope I can do it. Give me one of these 3s and we're in business. A non-green 3 would be perfect. Ooh, perfect. 1, 2, 2, and 6. And that 3 orange is it. Because that fills in 5 straight down here. Which does fill in another one of these. And now hits 1, 2, 3, 4 corners, so I get that 13 points. Like that. Cool. Problem is I got one more round. So the only thing I can do is this to fill in here. And the only one that's going to do it is that. I need 2 coins, which I have if I fill that in. So if I can roll this in purple or pink, or green will get me 1. Pink will get me 2. Purple, pink, or green potentially. We might be okay. But anyway, this flips over. It doesn't matter because I scored it, but that's okay. Then, last round of the game. Yeah, the only one I want is that. Which is a 4, and I didn't get it. I got a whole lot of 5s and 1, 1. All right, well, then we're going to maximize scoring that 5, which is down here. So I will, for my final, round of the game, fill in a 5. Purple, like that. And filling in those holes like that. I didn't do too well on the main goal cards, but I might be scoring decently well enough in the regular stuff to make up for it. And I did fill in a lot. I didn't use a whole lot of small shapes this time. So that's the end of round 12. So now I go into final scoring. So first things first, I didn't get B or C. This is where I'm really hurt. I didn't finish any sections. Yeah, this is going to be a really low scoring game. That's a big 0. This is 13. Hold on, that gets me 2, 4, 6, 8 points. If I put orange here, I get 2 plus 4 plus filling in the center. Yeah, you know what? I'm undoing that last turn and changing my mind. Oh yeah, super changing my mind, because watch this. Watch this, hold on. If I take an orange instead, and I fill in here, like that. Yeah, that's gonna be way better, because watch what happens. That now finishes the center space. And I close that. And I get a coin for filling in the center. And now, wasn't paying attention before, use those 2 coins to fill in this hole. And this hole right here. Because that finishes this area and gets me a coin again. Unfortunately, that's only 1 coin, but that's okay. Let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, here 1, 2, 3, and here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so I'm just going to fill in a random black square here for that last coin. All right, now things are quite a bit different, because now I did finish this centerpiece here and this bottom right space. So I'm going to get 15 points there. 13 points there. Purple's touching orange. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Gets me 8 points. Right? That one doesn't, and that's the only purple I have. Orange gets me 15. Pink. This T matches this green T and this blue T. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. Unfortunately, the pink 2 doesn't do anything because I didn't have any other 2s. Then, blue gets me a -0. My biggest empty space is here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my total score is 15 plus 13 plus 8 plus 15 plus 10 minus 6 for a very sad score of 55, which is the lowest score that I've had so far. And that's basically it for the game. Now, I do like to take a look at components. Everything you see here is basically everything that's in the game. I do really enjoy the sort of color palette of this game, the artwork of this game. Let me bring out the other goal cards just to show you some of what they do and also what the art looks like, because I do like the art. Here we've got at least 1 purple in each section, at least 1 pink in each section. Fill in 15 or more blue, 1 of each color in 1 section. Fill the outside fill the 12 spaces around the 2x2 gray area. Fill 1 row or column. Fill the 10 spaces around the 2x1 gray area. 2 rows or columns. 4 spaces 4 times. Have 6 unspent money. Fill in 3 pairs of any matching shape. And finally, fill in the top right and bottom left sections. But I showed you those not just for the goals, but because I do really love the art in this game. Again, the color palette shines through in the cards as well in a muted version rather than the sort of bright colors on the board. These shape cards, while just being shapes, all have this sort of geometry kind of background in them that I do really appreciate, some chemistry in there. very scientific kind of thing, because this is all focused on you, your brain basically. And you can see on the back that each of the colors mean something. So we've got friendship is orange, purple is hobbies, green is finances, pink is romance, blue is self-improvement, and then the black, according to response on BGG, does represent drugs. But basically these are all of the different things that occupy parts of the spaces in your brain, or as the game is called, your mind space, which is really cool. The theme is fun. It visually looks really cool. The colors on the board are very poppy, very bright. Now, granted, I did have 2 sets of markers because I got the second marker pack from the Kickstarter, and my first purple, not this purple, but the other one, was very, very light color. It worked fine, but it was not this bright color. It was a very muted purple. Now, I have heard people getting replacement markers. I didn't ask for them because I did pick this up from someone else and not from the Kickstarter campaign, but just bear in mind that some of the markers may not be great, but also you should probably be able to get them replaced. These dice, nice, again, punchy colors, poppy colors, nice chunky plastic dice. Now granted, if you have colorblind problems, I can't speak to that because I don't know how close these would look to you, and there's no way to identify the die aside from the color. But so long as you can identify which color is which, you should be able to pair up the colors between. I don't quite know how colorblindness works, so I can't speak to that. But again, I, as a non-colorblind person, think that the color palette here looks great, and I can't speak to more than that. As far as other components go, that's basically all that's in the box. Again, on the back of the brain, the B side is just slightly more abstract kinds of shapes, which does make them a little bit harder to fill in. And that's basically all that comes in the game. The box is just this tiny little square that is exactly the size of those cards, or slightly larger. So everything does fit very nicely into the box. Design, again, of the box, the artwork here is very, very beautiful. Big fan of the components in this game. Meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I'm going to start first focusing on the mechanisms in this game, but first let me just say it's really nice to see Nao Shimamura's name on a game again, because Taiki Ken and I has been gone for a while and I haven't seen many games coming from this designer or from the people involved in those games, so happy to see that first. But let's dive into how I feel about the mechanisms in this game. If you watch this channel at all, I'm sure you've heard me say many, many, many times, I'm a big fan of spatial puzzle games. And at its heart, that's what this game is. I also tend to really be a fan of polyomino games and sort of unique strategic laying of these weird shapes into sort of restrained or constrained areas. And also, roll and write games, while not necessarily having longevity in my sort of collection or in my plays, I do tend to really enjoy the puzzle of a roll and write, sort of this input randomness of here's a bunch of stuff, now do everything that you can do with that. So I'm sort of primed to enjoy this game with the designer, with the style of game that it is, and so on moving in. And I do have to say that at its core, the mechanisms in this game are a whole lot of fun. I really do enjoy what's going on here. So basically every round, you're rolling all of the different colored dice. And then based on the number that shows up, that die gets assigned to a shape. But the unique thing here, or the interesting thing here, is you can sort of see all of the possible shapes. And you know that in each round, one of those cards is going away and a new card is coming. So you can see that over the next few rounds, this is basically what I have potentially available to me, with something going away soon and with something coming later. So you can kind of start planning for what might happen on your board. But then there's the randomness of the dice that determine exactly what it is that you have at any given moment in the game. And that really makes for an interesting tactical decision with potential for some longer term strategic planning in the game. And I do really appreciate that. But at its core, or at every core of every roll and write game, basically the game in a roll and write game is the scoring mechanism, right? Because regardless of how you're drafting the dice or how you're using the dice or whether you're able to use one die or multiple dice on any given turn, basically what you're trying to do is maximize scoring with every placement of every die or every drawing or whatever it is that you're doing in that particular roll and write. So at its core, the scoring mechanisms or the scoring goals are what determine whether a roll and write game is going to be effective or fun or not fun, basically. So this one does quite a few interesting things for me. And that first is you're scoring based off of these different sections or different locations on the board. And if you can fill any of those locations, you score for that. Prioritizing the 4 around the outside because they're a little bit bigger rather than that core square in the middle. And then in addition to that, you've got these 3 sort of long-term scoring goals that you're trying to score, but as quickly as possible, because both the multiplayer game and the solo game, those are going to flip over either on a timer or based on other people playing. So you want to get to those things as fast as possible to get the higher scoring point threshold rather than the lower scoring points. And these range from all kinds of things, filling in multiple locations, hitting all 4 corners, getting a bunch of a certain color, getting a little bit of every color. And there's these sort of overarching goals that are constantly in the back of your mind that you're trying to get to as fast as you can while also maximizing scoring you're getting from sort of each successive placement on your board. And each successive placement on your board is interesting because here you've got all of these different colors, and each of these different colors is scoring in different ways. First off, green. I'm going to start with green because green is unique to the other colors. In that green is great at filling in spaces because remember, you are scoring when you fill in a section, and also at the end of the game you're going to lose points for any empty spaces you have in your most empty section. So green is good at filling in that stuff, but otherwise green doesn't score anything on its own, except that every time you place green, you get access to coins, and these coins are going to allow you to fill in individual single blocks. These coins will allow you to sort of forget about these shape restrictions for the round, allowing you to assign any color to any shape. And finally, if you use a lot of coins, if you use 3 coins, you get the ability to place an additional shape on your turn, which could be huge. Now, getting that many coins is not going to be easy because you only get them from green and from filling in those sections. But if you can get multiple big shapes placed on the same turn and they fit together in just the right way, that could be huge for scoring. But then you've got these other colors. You've got orange and blue that work similarly to each other in that orange is scoring based on how many orange pieces you put out on your board. Doesn't matter how big, doesn't matter how small, the size only matters for the other stuff you're trying to score. You just want to maximize the number of orange pieces you have on your board. So anytime you have a situation where you can't place something well, just place another orange and you score more points for having orange. And blue is similar, except that blue is not scoring based on the number of pieces, but the number of sections that have a piece of blue in them. So now you're not just thinking about how many blues can I put out, but how few blues can I put out that still extend into all of the different sections. So if you can prioritize big blue and place them in the right way, and you can connect multiple sections with a single piece, then you can effectively score better. Now, the blue is an interesting one because you're scoring negative points unless you've got blue in every section. Ultimately, that doesn't really change how things work, except that it makes your scores lower rather than higher. But realistically, it's still scoring for the more sections you have blue in. But that's interesting because now you've got this dichotomy of I want lots of this things, or I want lots of this thing, but not really lots of this thing, but spread out of this thing. Then you've got purple. Purple is going to score based on being adjacent to orange. So you really want to be able to place these sort of straighter pieces so you've got lots of available sort of surface area that purple and orange can be touching up against each other, because then you're going to score lots of points for that adjacency. So now we need to think about not just maximizing how many or how spread out we've got, but now we have to focus on sort of effective interlocking of tiles, because diagonals are also not going to score. So you've got to have lots of these flat edges for purple and orange to butt up against each other, and it really makes for another fun twist on this sort of puzzle. And then on top of that, you've got pink. Now, pink is where things get really sort of tricky and interesting at the same time, because pink themselves scores nothing, except if you have other things that are shaped the same way that a pink is shaped, and then you're scoring points for each block in that thing. So if I can have a big shape of pink and the same big shape in another color, I'm going to score a lot of points. And remember, I told you that you can see the shapes and watch them go through, because you've got 5 shapes out there. And that number 1 shape is going to go through 5 rounds before it disappears, which means, depending on how the dice work out, you could end up with lots of the same shape if you're paying attention and if things play out in the right order. And that makes pink really cool, because pink is kind of useless on its own unless you can figure out a way to use it well, and then boom, you get tons of points from pink. And I think that's really, really interesting as well. And now the unique thing is not that each of these is just special on its own, but that the way that the things are placed out and restrictions and how all of these things tie together really makes for a fun puzzle, because in addition to how these things go out and how these things score, there's also the rule that after the first round, every piece must be placed orthogonally adjacent to something that's already on the board and can never touch another piece of its own color. So now green and pink mean more. Maybe they're not scoring, but maybe you need them to fill in a hole so that the same color can sort of be near each other but not touching. So you've got to think about, how do I place these things out so that I've got lots of orange, I've got spread out blue, I've got purple near orange, I've got multiple shapes of the same type, one of which is pink, and then I've got green getting me coins to help manipulate this stuff to get all of those things done, but then in such a way that they fill in spaces so that you don't have lots of empty holes at the end of the game, and so that one color doesn't get pressed up against another color, or that you don't put yourself into a situation where the colors that you need can't fit on the board anymore, because anywhere they could go, they're going to be touching other places that have that same color. So all of this connected together, plus the scoring of completed sections, plus the sort of three main goals you've got going, all of this together really does make for a really fun spatial puzzle that does have a lot of randomness coming at you, but the way that you think about how to put these things together, when to prioritize scoring, when to prioritize setting up for future rounds, it really does make for a whole lot of fun. The board also on the backside has, it's basically the same game, but instead of having nice squares and rectangle shapes, you've got these slightly odder shapes, which means it might be easier to get the blue stretching into things, but it might be harder to finish some of these locations because you're not just packing in squares. You got to worry about these extra little sort of stick out spots in all of the different sections. I think I kind of prefer the B side to the A side, but they both play very well. In any case, the puzzle here is a whole lot of fun, and I do really enjoy what's going on here. Now, that being said, this is a solo channel, and unfortunately, I don't know that I can recommend this as a solo game. And the reason that is not because it doesn't play well, but because it doesn't have any real meaning. There's no AI here. The only AI here is going to, on a timer, turn over at random some of those goal cards, which means you're trying to race to get things done, trying to guess which ones are going to last and which ones are not going to last, and trying to maximize your scoring points there. But the AI is not scoring anything. There's also no score list of, if you get this number of points, you've done well, because every time you're playing, you're going to see different shapes. You're going to see different allocation of colors to shapes. And most importantly, you're going to see different sort of long-term goal cards every time you play this game. So it might be that one game this point score is really good, and in another game that point score is normal because you had the ability to score so many more points in that game. So realistically, ultimately, there's no real point to the solo, because I can't even really compare a score to the previous game because I don't know how to compare the score to the previous game. In a multiplayer game, this doesn't happen because everybody has the same restrictions. Everybody has the same shapes available to them. Everybody has the same colors paired to those shapes. Everybody has the same goals. Yes, you're racing for the goals, and you can watch the other person race. So it's not a random goal that turns over. You can see someone's getting close to something, and then you also need to focus on getting that done before they do. So in a multiplayer game, there's a leveling effect because everybody has the same things available to them, and everybody's fighting for the same things. In the solo game, that's not true because the goal cards are randomly turning over, and there's nobody else that's fighting against you. So your score ultimately doesn't really matter because each time you play, the random assortment of things is going to determine how much you could score, and then how much you do score would be related to that, but you don't know what that number is. So you can't tell if you've done well or not so well in any given game. Now, granted, if you've got a bunch of friends who play this game solo and you go online on BGG or somewhere else and you put, these are the cards that I used, this is the game I just played, how can you do, like the video I just recorded, this playthrough, go ahead and play through and see how your score is, and don't definitely leave down in the comments below if you played along with my video, what was your score, because I'd love to see how well I did versus other people in this game. And likewise, if you did something like this on BGG where you said, these are all the things that I used, this was my score, let's compete to see who can do the best, then it could be fun. But as it stands in the game, there's basically no point to the solo because I can't tell if I've done well or not well. I enjoy every minute of it. I love everything I'm doing in every play of this game that I've played. But then at the end of the game, it's like, okay, so how did I do? I don't know. And that's unfortunate. But realistically, in a game like this, I don't know how you do much differently than what that is. And again, I'm not even sure you can give sort of goal point thresholds that if you've done better than this, you win, or if you've done better than this, you're in rank 1 or rank 2. I don't know if that's doable here. I enjoy this game a lot. It's got a very small footprint. It's going to stay in my collection simply because it's fun and I can play it with other people. But again, I'm not sure how often this game is going to come off the shelf as a solo game. And that is a little bit disappointing because I'd love to have, especially a Nao Shimamura solo game, because there aren't any that are in my collection. Everything I've got is 2 or more players, and I think that might be true of all of their games. So, I don't know. Great game, not so great for solo. If you're going to play it multiplayer and you want to play it sometimes solo, still a very strong recommend. But I definitely can't say that I would recommend to pick this up for solo only, unless, like I said, you are going to do sort of a message board comparison kind of thing. I hope that this video was helpful for you. As always, if you did like this video, I do ask that you like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below. And I'll see you all next time. Thanks.